The Bowling Green apparition. During the night of the 12th of February, 2010, lifelong paranormal skeptic Roy Shaw was walking his dog in Devon, England, wandering through the quiet streets of his neighborhood. He began to approach his local lawn bowling club, when he was startled by an odd object hovering high up in the sky. Hazy and distant at first, it began to descend slowly and move nearer in his direction. Circular in shape, it suspended itself above the bowling club and Shaw entered the grounds to get a better look at the object. He watched in amazement as it zigzagged around, before landing on the far side of the green. The Silbury Hill case. During July 2009, an off-duty police sergeant was driving along the A4 motorway during the early hours of the morning. At around 5 a.m., whilst passing Silbury Hill, an area long renowned for its druid precedent, UFO sightings and mystical attributes, he noticed three exceptionally tall men standing in a field examining a recently made crop circle. He noticed they had shining blonde hair and were dressed in white coveralls with their hoods down, which reminded him of forensic detectives. Intrigued by such a bizarre spectacle, the sergeant parked his car and approached the men. From a distance of 400 yards he shouted at them, but his attempts fell on deaf ears and he was ignored. Upon entering the field, however, the three men became aware of his presence, and simultaneously turned toward him before making off at a miraculous speed heading southward away from the hill. He followed them for a few seconds, but realized he was no match for their pace and watched in awe as they strode off in superhuman strides. After glancing away for a second, the sergeant looked back in the men's direction to see they had completely vanished. They ran faster than any man I have ever seen. I'm no slouch, but they were moving so fast. I looked away for a second and when I looked back they were gone, he told Andrew Russell, the UFO investigator. He has chosen to communicate through in favor of remaining anonymous. Walking back to his car, he felt something akin to a static electricity echoing throughout the field. The crops began to ripple and sway in time with a crackle that was pulsing all around him, and he developed a massive headache. I then got scared. The noise was still around, but I got an uneasy feeling and headed for the car. For the rest of the day I had a pounding headache I couldn't shift. He contacted his colleagues at Wiltshire Police and they released this statement. The police officer was apparently off duty when this happened, so we have no comment to make, because it is personal, not a police matter. On the night following the sighting, residents of the area reported seeing an unmarked helicopter hovering for 3 hours over the field where the encounter took place, a sequence that has followed UFO and crop circle reports in the area with increasing frequency. The sergeant continues to remain anonymous.
The Virginia case. In recent years, the Virginia case has garnered just as much attention and controversy among hardcore UFO enthusiasts as Roswell has among the general public. Many attempts have been made to thoroughly investigate the case and make conclusive findings. The 2002 book UFOs over Brazil by American UFO expert Dr. Roger Lehr is the closest so far, and his interviews with military officials, hospital surgeons and a wide array of civilian witnesses will form the basis of this account. The NORAD, North American Aerospace Defense Command, tracked an uncorrelated, unidentified object soaring above the Western Hemisphere on the 13th of January, 1996. It entered Brazilian airspace and the SENDAPTA, acronym translates as the Integrated Air Traffic Control and Air Defense Center, were contacted, who in turn alerted the Brazilian Army Command at Dracoricos, giving the instruction that all wings of the Brazilian military were to be put on high alert. The Western France case. Georges Gauthier was a well-respected local man in the town of Neuter, in western France. A veteran of World War II, he fought with the French resistance in Luxembourg against the Nazis. On the 30th of September, 1954, He was in charge of an 8-man crew working on a construction site. Whilst working, he felt a peculiar drowsiness come over him. He felt compelled to walk, although he did not know where or why. As if some unknown force was guiding him. When he stopped, he was in sight of an unknown being some 30 feet away on a hill. He described it as having an opaque glass helmet, gray coveralls and short boots. He also noticed a rod-like weapon in its hand and a square-shaped electronic device on its chest. The creature stood in front of a dome-shaped object which hovered 3 feet above the ground. The craft also had a cupola shape on top, with blade-like devices protruding from its highest point. In total awe of what he was looking at, Gate stood in a paralyzed silence. As he gazed in amazement, something even stranger happened. He stated suddenly, "The strange man vanished." Gate then ran back to the site to report what he saw, and noted that at his first attempt to do so he was overcome with an unshakable feeling of stillness. After greeting his workers with a panicky "Have you seen something?" 2 of his workers concurred with his account, claiming to have seen a flying saucer and a man dressed like a diver in front of it. His 7 co-workers complained of feeling inexplicably drowsy during the event. And George Gate himself suffered headaches, loss of appetite and insomnia for the full following week.